Think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of...
The courtroom is packed with suffocating tension when the cameras catch at Whoopi Goldberg collapsing. Not physically, but in spirit, as her swagger and courtroom persona vanish. Hunched forward, blinking rapidly, one hand gripping the table while the other trembles near her face. The woman who once ruled The View like a queen now looks like she's struggling to breathe, because this isn't daytime TV, it's war. And Karoline just went nuclear as the $800 million lawsuit Whoopi once mocked races through the court system, fast-tracked by a judge, clearly fed up with the games, sending receipts flying and tears falling as Whoopi unravels publicly, painfully, and with the entire country watching. So before unpacking this total meltdown, smash that like button for justice and subscribe if you believe in accountability, even for celebrities, because this is about to get messy as we rewind to the exact moment the firestorm was ignited.
Women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should...
The cameras were rolling when Karoline Leavitt, poised, youthful, and completely unfazed, stepped onto the set of The View like she belonged there. But instead of welcoming her, the co-hosts circled like sharks sensing blood, with Joy Behar opening with a sarcastic jab about her age and appearance while the audience giggled, and Sunny Hostin followed with a passive-aggressive line about white privilege, before Whoopi Goldberg leaned in, locked eyes with Karoline, and delivered the cutting blow. "You didn't earn this. You're just a product of right-wing pity politics." The crowd laughed. The hosts looked giddy, but Karoline didn't flinch. She took mental notes, measured every smirk, and days later dropped an $800 million defamation lawsuit that shook the media world, turning Whoopi's words into Exhibit A at first. The hosts laughed it off, dismissing it as a joke, but the lawsuit quickly snowballed into a legal avalanche, fast-tracked by the court with depositions, discovery, and subpoenas for raw footage, producer notes, rehearsal records, and even Slack threads from the control room, uncovering a disturbing pattern of orchestration rather than spontaneous banter. When Karoline's team unveiled evidence, including internal notes instructing Joy to needle her on age before letting Whoopi go hard, and producers scripting mention Trump or lean in with race as contingency attacks, the courtroom gasped. The judge stared down ABC's lawyers, and forensic analysis confirmed the authenticity of every message. Silence fell from ABC's side. No denial, no objection, only frantic attorneys flipping through binders, while Whoopi sat pale and terrified, clutching her hands until her knuckles turned white, her once confident persona dissolving under the weight of evidence. As the hours dragged on, the lights grew hotter, the air heavier, and Whoopi, once the queen of clapbacks and sass, crumbled, her shoulders slumped, her restless hands fidgeting with tissues and smoothing the courtroom table, no longer a performer in control, but a defendant unraveled.
Everything everyone is saying to me, and I don't want to fake apologize. I'm very upset about that people are misunderstood what I was saying.
But Whoopi doesn't respond, doesn't blink, until finally, a single tear rolls down her cheek under the harsh fluorescent lights. She wipes it away quickly, hoping no one noticed, but everyone did. Journalists exchange glances, one typing furiously into a live blog, another already drafting the headline. Breaking: Goldberg breaks down in court. The judge calls for a 10-minute recess. Attorneys file out. Reporters stand. Viewers lean forward, but Whoopi remains frozen at the table until a bailiff quietly checks on her, and in a cracked, raw whisper, she admits, "I didn't know they saved all of that." Across the room, Karoline Leavitt sits composed and resolute, not smug or gloating, just steady, like she had always known this moment would come. When Whoopi's attorney returns with tissues and water, Whoopi still doesn't speak, doesn't smile. Doesn't Whoopi, she breaks. When court resumes, she's no longer the sharp-tongued TV icon, but a cautionary tale of what happens when public personas collide with private and Karoline finally leans to her lawyer with two words: "Let's continue." Because the show isn't over, it's only just begun. Behind the glossy mugs and scripted banter of daytime TV, ABC is in full corporate meltdown, panic spreading through offices as executives jump on emergency Zoom calls before sunrise, conversations hushed and NDA locked, one insider confessing, "We thought the lawsuit would fizzle. It's now a full-scale disaster." The legal team is scouring episodes, emails, and Slack logs. HR has been ordered to audit every political guest segment from the last 18 months, and sponsors are quietly pulling out luxury skincare gone. A major auto brand pausing ads choosing retreat over risk in an $800 million defamation firestorm. Inside The View's production wing, the atmosphere is apocalyptic. Staffers dusting off producers sneaking coffee meetings with rivals, interns asking if their names might appear in lawsuit records, while ABC lawyers comb through Whoopi's contract line by line, scrutinizing moral clauses, public responsibility guidelines, and social conduct expectations. Translation: they're searching for the exit hatch, and sources say discussions about gracefully transitioning Whoopi out have already begun, with marketing teams even pausing all promotional content featuring her. Facepoint.
Good for anyone, and it's not good for poor folks. It is not good for y'all because you become slave fodder. It's not a good thing. It's not good for women because you are now being told and dictated to, and you can't say anything because they, throw you in a jail or whatever. People got very, very, very angry and still are angry. I mean, I'm getting, all of the mail from folks and the very real anger.
Controversial episodes are being pulled from syndication, and the real dagger is that a formal exit strategy draft is already in the works, reportedly outlining a health-related hiatus, a scripted on-air farewell, a soft transition to a new host panel, and carefully crafted talking points for damage control interviews. While no one will admit it publicly, insiders are blunt and private. Whoopi might be out. Not next year or next season, but soon, as the legal inferno burns hotter by the day. ABC knows the stakes aren't just about one host but about the survival of their entire brand. And if they don't move quickly, it's not just Whoopi's career that could collapse but The View itself. While Whoopi Goldberg crumbles under the weight of her own words, and ABC scrambles to plug holes in a sinking ship, Karoline Leavitt is rising like a rock, longer just a conservative firebrand holding her ground but the centerpiece of what could become the media moment of the decade.
With these despicable women on The View, they are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help because...
Well, listen, if you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good. So good. In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderator...
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and X. Clips of CarolineLeavitt.com and composed courtroom demeanor are being clipped, stitched, and dissected frame by frame, with hashtags like hashtag Caroline stands tall and hashtag receipts not RANTS trending globally. She didn't shout, storm out, or even blink. Instead, she walked into court in a navy blazer with her hair tied back, carrying a thick binder of evidence, and sat through hours of depositions with the poise of someone 3 times her age. No eye rolls, no emotional outbursts, just laser-focused resolve. Commentators across the political spectrum are in rare agreement. Love her or hate her politics, this is how you handle media smear jobs.
And disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
This young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women.
Yeah.
See, this is not black, Asian, this is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was...
Karoline Leavitt, a future legal and political powerhouse. CNN analyst Steven CN have labeled her performance strategically flawless, and center-left Substack writers have admitted she did her homework, and it shows. Behind the scenes, celebrities are quietly sending support, with one A-list actress DMing her, "You're braver than most of Hollywood combined." In a culture where public figures usually lash out or lay low, Karoline chose a third path. She brought time-stamped, courtroom admissible receipts, no rants, no just proof that turns talking points into legal liability and forces even skeptics to pay attention. Shockingly, she hasn't spoken to the press once since proceedings began. No interviews, no tweet storms, no cryptic posts, while the Views camp scrambles to shift blame. Karoline's strategy is crystal clear. Let the truth talk and let the public watch. And the public is watching. Her clips have surpassed 50 million views across platforms. Petitions demanding ABC's accountability have topped 2 million signatures, and the young conservative once mocked as too inexperienced is now being hailed as Gen Z's first courtroom icon. She's not just winning a lawsuit, she's reshaping the battlefield by challenging a legacy media culture that has long hidden behind entertainment while targeting voices it disagrees with. By setting a precedent, she made the truth trend. And now the questions fall to us. Should Whoopi Goldberg be forced off The View after years of lecturing others on morality and justice? Should ABC cut her loose, or make her answer for what happened on their platform? Was Karoline justified in going to court? Or did she finally do what so many others were afraid to stand up to the machine and say enough? Is this the beginning of the end for legacy media bullying? The collapse of the It's Just commentary shield? And a reckoning that forces networks, hosts, and producers to confront their own accountability every time they turn on a mic? Drop your take in the comments. I'm reading every hot take, every defense, every mic drop moment, and before you bounce, smash that like button if you believe in accountability for everyone, no matter how famous they are. Subscribe for more fearless commentary the mainstream won't say out loud, and share this with anyone who still thinks The View is just harmless daytime fluff, because what just happened wasn't fluff. It was a cultural reckoning, a line in the sand. And Karoline Leavitt, binder of receipts in hand, isn't just defending herself, she's leading a movement. And if this courtroom collapse is any sign, the real firestorm hasn't even started.